Students, in this module, we are going to focus about pollination. To be very much specific, we are going to study the different agents of cross-pollination. The two most common agents of cross-pollination are wind and insect. The wind is non-living, it's an abiotic component, whereas the insects, they are living, they are biotic components. But before starting with the actual discussion, let me make you clear with respect to the concept. Whenever there is exchange of pollen grain or any material taking place between the flower and the biotic or between the flower and the abiotic components, they both need to be compatible to each other. They need to complement each other, and at the same time they should adapt to each other, because if the wind is not adapting to the flower, no pollination can take place. At the same time, the flower also needs to adapt to the wind. So here what is required, it's just an adjustment to fulfill the need. The first pollination is insect pollination. If I have to define, I will say the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma by the help of insect is called insect pollination. But what is the technical term for it? Whenever the transfer of pollen grain is taking place through insect, it is called as entomophily. Entomo, insect, phily, loving or affinity. The pollen grain loves the insect and it goes with the insect. But there has to be some characteristic in the flower so that the pollen grain goes with the insect. And the most important, flower will not run behind the insect. Insect has to come to the flower. So what is required? The flower has to be bright, colorful, attractive. It must produce nectar, emit sweet scent. The flower has to be large, bright colored, and most important, the pollen grains of these flowers, they should be sticky or they must be spiny so that they can stick on the wings of the insect or the legs of the insect or sometime on the entire body. And when this insect carries the pollen grain, it flies for the nectar on another flower. Insect is just taking the nectar from one flower to the another, and during this process, by chance, pollen grain gets deposited on the stigma. And how the stigma should be? It should be receptive, it should be sticky, and it should not usually hanging out from the flower. It has to be somewhere inside. In some cases, when the flowers are small, they all are in a cluster. Example for this is the dahlia. Till then, this is Sunil sir saying goodbye to you. Thank you very much.